Hello everyone, it's Cam from Arsenal Theory Podcast, and we're going to be going through some obvious Arsenal news today because it is the Arsenal Theory Podcast. But we're going to be going through some stuff to do with Liverpool as well, and we're going to start with Man United and a real horrible story, really, breaking throughout the day. United have released a statement regarding Mason Greenwood, and I'm really surprised at what Man United are doing here. This is a billion-dollar company, a leading brand in the world, a brand that is the money is built on sponsors. I mean, they're sponsored. They have so many sponsors for just so many different parts of the team, training grounds, kits, mugs. You can get Man United toasters. It's just ridiculous the amount of things you can do there. And they've released a statement today regarding the future of Mason Greenwood, essentially saying that his future is undecided. They haven't decided either way yet what they're going to do. They've been doing an internal process review of looking at the partial evidence that's been released and yada yada, this and that. And really, it's just a complete disgrace. I don't understand. There is absolutely no way Man United should be bringing Mason Greenwood back into the club. Um, it's going to be so for several reasons. Firstly, if what it looks like he has done, he has done. He shouldn't play for Man United again. Um, if someone else wants to employ him as a footballer, then that's different, I suppose. But this is Man United, so you'd think they would have some of the higher standards. Not that you necessarily need high standards to not want to employ someone like Mason Greenwood in this situation. And also, it's just going to divide the whole fan base. And you just think, is this from a purely kind of cold-hearted view of it? The risk is just not worth the reward here. If other stories come out about him, it's going to cause him more problems. And I've heard rumours that they would bring him back, but he wouldn't obviously be used in any promotional material, wouldn't be giving interviews, wouldn't participate in kind of club community activities and things. And you think, well, that's all part of being a Man United player. And it's not a right to be a player in the Premier League, it's a privilege. And I just don't understand why they haven't just gone, okay, look, um, we're going to set you up for transfer or just pay off his contract and be done with it. But for some reason, they're kind of wanting to keep him around. And I really think it's just going to backfire horrifically. The There is a Man United women's team, and I don't know how those people are going to feel about things. And the problem as well is that, you know, if you're a female and you're associated with Manchester United or you work for Man United in a public kind of space, people are going to ask you, how do you feel about this guy being brought back? And then you're in a position where, do you want to speak out against your employers or not? It's just it's just terrible. And unless he's 100% completely innocent, unless those videos were faked and it wasn't him, it was CGI'd. I don't know. If there's a really weird scenario where actually, it wasn't him on those tapes, it wasn't him on those recordings, and it didn't actually happen, then okay, then. But no one's come out and said that. No one's produced any evidence to suggest that's the case. So, yeah, I just do not understand why they're taking this fight on, why Man United are taking this route. If they just dealt with the problem at the time as much as they could have done, then they wouldn't be getting this headache now. But it just shows the dark underside belly of football, I suppose, really. And it's always been there, and it shows its head in different ways. You've got this scenario with Mason Greenwood. There's potentially another scenario going on with a player who I cannot name, but in all the papers over the last kind of year or so, there's been apparently a Premier League player who keeps having his bail extended. Rumours he plays for Arsenal. I don't know if that's true or not. So he hasn't been. I don't think the player has been charged with anything yet. But the club have obviously stood by that player in this scenario. Things were leaked about that as well. It's disgusting, really. The player, if it's true, shouldn't be playing for Arsenal again, if that is who that player actually plays for. the Qatar World Cup. The amount of workers that died building those stadiums and had their passports taken and just treated horrifically. And there really is a kind of dark underbelly to football. And we try and, I think a lot of time as fans, we don't really know how we're supposed to feel about it. You had, like I said, you had the Qatar World Cup. You've got Saudi Arabia, where things like being homosexual is going to be a big problem out there if you're gay, and you've got them buying Premier League clubs, and now they're signing some of the best footballers in the world. If you're a Newcastle United fan, are you supposed to feel guilty about that or not feel guilty about that? Um, and our answer is I don't know. I suppose I would only really know if Arsenal were in that position, if we got bought by an oil country owned by Americans. I mean, America's got a bit of a dicey record on things over the years, as most people have, I suppose. But it's just unfortunate that football can't kind of get its act together. But and Man United should be leading the way when it comes to these kinds of situations. I feel, you think they'd be at the forefront of it, but it's like they're stuck in the 70s or something. It's just, ugh. I mean, to be fair to your Man United fans, I will be fair to them. The vast majority of ones I've seen have just said this is disgraceful if United bring him back. They've been really clear that there's no way this guy can play for Man United again. But hey, there you go. I wasn't going to talk about it, but then I thought, well, it is in the news. It does involve a big Premier League club, a rival of Arsenal's. And I hope eventually they kind of come and make the right decision. I want to move on to Liverpool because it kind of dawned on me, I think it dawned on me yesterday evening. I was looking at Liverpool and what's happened to them in this transfer window. And I started getting like flashbacks of the banter years of Arsenal. And the banter years I would class as between kind of 2010 to 2020, 2021 maybe. They've only just kind of stopped and potentially could come back. But just where, we were just getting rolled over in the transfer market and making these really weird moves. And it kind of looked like that's starting to happen to Liverpool, possibly with the whole Chelsea scenario. And also with Chouameni, it started where they were apparently going in for him. He went to Madrid. Then you've got obviously the whole Bellingham dance where they were really, looks like they were led astray by Bellingham's camp. It looked like he was interested, but then he's obviously come out and said it was only ever Real Madrid I wanted to go to, which is why Dortmund couldn't really get more of a fee for him, I think. I don't know. He may have had a release clause. But no, he didn't. Haaland had a release clause. Bellingham didn't, but they couldn't get a bigger fee for him because it was really just Madrid that he wanted to go to. So they lost out on Chouameni, lost out on Bellingham. They then got in for Caicedo. Suddenly produced. Everyone thought Liverpool was skint. They suddenly produced 100 big ones out of nowhere, and then Chelsea have come in and taken him. And obviously, then you've got Lavia, and you just think, what's going on there? Is this the result of they've had a lot of changes behind the scenes with kind of sporting directors and transfer gurus and things like that? Is this the result of these failures, the kind of end result of not having any consistency in those backroom departments? Because why are they trying to buy players they don't have kind of agreements with in principle, or a kind of thumbs up that, yeah, I want to go there? Or are players saying, yeah, no, I want to come to Liverpool, but then they're just saying that, just to keep them in the game in case their preferred move doesn't pan out? Doesn't seem like the case with Caicedo. I mean, Liverpool hadn't been linked with him at all. And, Caicedo came out and said that, I don't want to go to Liverpool, I want to go to Chelsea. So what made them think that they could do it? And why weren't they creating a dialogue with those players over the last 12 months or so? They just wake up one day and go, right, let's go get him. I mean, they must have known that he was a potential target for them. So yeah, you're always going to be, if you don't have that kind of pull directly with the player, you're always going to be in a problem. I'm not using this as an example to say how great Arteta and Arsenal are, because we've made our fair share of transfer cock-ups. It's one of the reasons why I can relate to what's happening with Liverpool at the moment. Um, but the Declan Rice deal only really worked because we'd worked the player over the last several months, with the agent, maybe his family, I'm not sure. But we built that relationship there. And so when City came in at the last minute, it made it really difficult for City because they probably hadn't done that work beforehand. So, it's a shame for Liverpool and their fans, because you've kind of got slim pickings now, really. You've lost. I mean, all clubs will have a kind of an A target, a B target, a C target. Well, they're going to be down to like the E's and the F's now in terms of what they're going to do. And what's even worse is everyone knows they've got a wad of money burning a hole in their pocket. You've got 100 million big ones there ready to be spent. So I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't make any more moves, because they're just not going to. I think they're going to struggle to get value for money, because everyone knows they're desperate. Everyone knows they've got all that money burning a hole in their pocket. And um, yeah, they're going to be in for some problems. And I just related to it so much as an Arsenal fan, especially because it was Chelsea as well. The amount of deals Chelsea scuppered. Back in the day, like Eden Hazard, Arsenal were interested in him. He went to Chelsea. I think SEM were interested. He went to Chelsea. The big one was Kante. He didn't pay the extra money. Went to Chelsea. This is just off the top of my head. I know there's going to be others in there. There would have been loads of different deals. I think, I think maybe even Willian, when he first came to the Premier League, I think we might have been in for Willian, and then that got kind of taken care of there. Um, Ashley Cole got stitched there. They got Ashley Cole, and we got William Gallas. Total waste of space he is. So yeah, Liverpool fans, I feel for you. Terrible times, but hopefully, if you support them, you'll be able to turn it around. So obviously, this is the Arsenal Theory podcast, so I want to talk about Arsenal as well. And the main news today is covering what we're going to do about the Jurrien Timber injury. The club released a statement. He's torn his ACL. Terrible news. But we all suspected that to be the case. Are we going to dip into the loan market? Are we going to go for a permanent transfer? Or do we promote from within? I really like the look of that Raw Walters. Apparently he's only 17. I thought he was a bit older than that. But I really like the look of him. Chelsea have apparently put Lewis Hall up for sale, a 19-year-old England defender, for around 30 million. There's rumours that we're going to look at them. There's Fresneda as well. No one knows, basically, is what I'm figuring out from all this. There's so many different stories, and everyone's kind of covering their bases, because whatever Arsenal do, they'll be able to point to, oh yeah, that's that tweet where I said Arsenal were going to do this. No one knows, because everyone's being licked. Apparently, it's Cancelo's back on the agenda again. I mean, I don't want to go anywhere near him, to be honest with you. He went to Bayern Munich. I don't think he really did much. He's not a great age, I think, as well. And it's going to be very difficult to do a deal with City. And I think he's got a bit of a problem. If he doesn't play, then he's going to become a problem. And he's not in a position to demand to start every week. So hopefully the club have something up their sleeve, and they're going to be able to figure a way out of this. So anyway, bit of a shorter one today, and we covered obviously the Mason Greenwood stuff is a bit more of a serious topic. Hopefully I won't have to cover any more of those kinds of stories for the rest of the season. But look, if you like the video, please press the like button, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks very much. Bye bye.